I can't tell you how many people I've met that'll be like, man, there's no business right now. And I'm like, the frick you talking about?
If you reach out to even 25 brands and you don't get a single intrigue, you don't have a good offer.
Now is the best time to be a creative. You can make well over 6 figures by only working with a few clients on a consistent basis.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the MIDCONVO podcast. We got a fire episode for you today. As always, we're going to keep it short and sweet, but the title is How to Achieve 5 Figures per Month as a Creative.
Yo, I'm excited for this. Right now, it's October at the time of recording this. I know you guys are getting your sweaters out, sweater weather season. You're going to get those PSLs, pumpkin spice lattes up in here. But we want to make sure that we help you guys, equip you, and share what we've learned going into, again, a busy season. But wait, hold up. Let's roll that intro music.
All right, so to TSR, I just want to preface this with saying, me and Paul did not always have this ability to be able to have 5 figures per month. We all started somewhere, just like everyone else, where we were doing $100 gigs, $200 gigs. It was a struggle. And honestly, we worked our way up over the years. So we've learned a lot, failed a lot. And we're going to share with you 5 things that were absolutely crucial for us to be able to get to those next levels. And so the first thing we want to talk about is networking. This is one of Paul's favorite things to talk about. So Paul, why don't you talk about why networking is on this list to achieve 5 figures per month as a creative?
Yeah, I love this because I'm in a new city as of 2 years ago. And when I moved here, I had a network. And also I found myself, even when I first kind of took the leap into full-time freelance and before that, wanting to connect with other like-minded creatives, building my network of other people that I could lean on, bring in on projects. And at the end of the day, it stinks to be lonely. So I've always made an effort to connect with other like-minded people that are better than me, people that I can learn from. And I think whenever me and Ed talk about networking outside of just being on the mic, we talk about how it's easy to be lazy sometimes and fall into just shooting a quick message to someone and asking if you can pick their brain real quick. Whether it's over coffee, whether it's over a DM, whether it's over a Zoom call. And let me be honest, I definitely did that. When I was starting out, I would reach out to people that were way smarter than me, way more advanced, making way more money. And I would say, hey, can I pick your brain over coffee? And I think me and Ed just want to unpack that a little bit because I think that there's a better way. And ultimately, when I get brought onto projects that are bigger scope, bigger budget, I'm bringing on people that I've connected with in my network through maybe referral, maybe it's because we ran into each other at a coffee shop. So I think that there's going to be some key insights here that are going to help you out.
Yeah, and just to go along with what Paul was saying on the pick your brain, as everyone here knows who listens to the podcast, me and Paul, we're not big on gatekeeping, okay?
No.
We don't like to gatekeep. As you know, if you've been riding with us, you know we will spill all our secrets, all our tricks, everything we know on how to succeed as a creative. We'll talk about it on this podcast. No gatekeeping energy here. However, what I don't like is when people will reach out and show clearly that they put in no effort whatsoever to learn about me, to learn about my business, to learn about anything in the industry. And then they'll say, would love to meet up for coffee to pick your brain if you're down, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to try not to make this a massive rant here, okay? And if you're listening to this and you've actually reached out to me and asked me to pick my brain, now you know how I really feel about that terminology, okay? I don't roast people when they say it, but truly, it's almost disrespectful in a way because what you're doing is you're asking this person that you haven't built a personal relationship for their time. Keep in mind, time is money for people. That's not just for me or Paul. That's anyone at any level. Time is money. So if you're asking for their time, that's already a huge ask. But second, to pick their brain is essentially saying, can I just be lazy and get all the trades and all the secrets from you and get your time? So really, you're opening your question with a double negative. You want their time, you want their expertise, and then what will you provide in exchange? A cup of coffee at a coffee shop? No, homie. No, that's not how it works.
Nope.
And so I think it's like if me and Paul, right? Like if it's different when you have a relationship built up, and this is where it goes into networking. Like if I hit up Paul and was like, Paul, can I, pick your brain, basically, right? He's probably going to be okay with that because we've already established a relationship. You know what I mean? We've already established a professional relationship, a friendship, and he would be okay with me tapping into what he has in mind and his advice. This is where networking, a lot of early creatives fail, is that they do this so early on with people they have no personal relationship with, they have no prior history with, and that's why they end up being a lonely creative because they're not outreaching in the way they should be to people they can learn from. So I just want to talk about that. We could rant about that for a long time, but I know, Paul, you feel similar.
That needs to be called out though, because if you find yourself, struggling to connect with others, if you find yourself wanting to learn from others, I should say, you got to figure out a more effective networking approach. And I want to say the maybe more strategic way is figure out how you can add value to them. I get DMs from people sometimes, and don't get me wrong, they're DMs that I used to send to other people when I was first starting out. And I'd be like, hey, can I just ask you a few questions real quick? Like, can you hop on a call or can we grab coffee in town? And it ends up being a much longer question. It ends up being an hour conversation. And that person that I'm asking to pick their brain, they're most likely buying their own coffee because I'm not showing up on time. And I think if you want to be more strategic, do your research, figure out what gets that person excited, figure out how you can help them, figure out how to add value to them versus just showing up and spewing all your questions on them with no context whatsoever.
And also, even if you don't have enough time or you don't have the skill set to provide something of massive value, at the very minimum, if you know this person online, engage with their content regularly. Like, it's free. When they post something, go comment. If they ask a question in their poll of their story, respond back to their poll. Like, because with Instagram, what's cool about it too is that it shows all your previous conversations with someone. So like, you could see, so the person, I use this tool. So it's like when someone reaches out to me and they're asking me a very in-depth question, it's like a paragraph long, I straight up will check if I have had even small interactions with this person. Like they responded to my story or they responded to my post or they somehow made some sort of attempt to make a connection before loading me with like a big question. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Like, it's free. You could literally just engage for like 2-3 weeks with this person, show that you care about them as a person first, and then ask a question to connect. And that will work out so much more smoothly than like essentially cold calling someone.
That's good. So we want to leave people with encouragement before we move on to the next thing. But I think it's hard to succeed when you are going at it alone. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's easy to be lonely sometimes. Guess what? Especially people work from home now, work from coffee shops. It's so much more enjoyable if you're able to bounce things back and forth off others that are going through similar things, or bring people on projects to help you with things that maybe you're not as good at. So just want to let you guys know that if you take the extra time when reaching out to people, especially first impressions are everything. If the first impression is a pick your brain message, forget about it. But if your first message is something that is meaningful, shows that you care, and that you're willing to just help out, that is going to get you more work. And it's also going to just build a better relationship with that person. But hey, we're going to move on to the next thing. And tell us what the next thing is here. How are we going to get to 5-figure months as freelancers?
So once you figure out networking, the next thing we want to talk about is outreach. Obviously, we're not talking about outreach to people you want to learn from. This is businesses. We're talking about new business outreach to people that are actually going to put money from their business bank account into your bank account. And that's the part that's going to get you to the 5 figures per month. So I know Paul's really good at this, and I could share some of my 2 cents, but maybe we each go take a turn. Like, what is one thing that you've learned from the outreach side on the business side of things that has really made a huge impact? What took you from like the $500 to $1,000 gigs to like the $10, $15, $20,000 gigs when it came to outreach?
So I'll go off on this. You got to take your own brand serious before you try to do outreach to try to add value to a business or a brand or a professional. I can't tell you how many people I've met that'll be like, man, there's no business right now as a creative. And I'm like, the frick you talking about? I look into their website, I look into their Instagram. First of all, website's under construction. Instagram, they haven't posted in a month. They have no Instagram stories popping up over the course of a week. And they have a negative attitude. My goodness, no wonder outreach isn't happening. Also, I just want to say right now, if you're listening to this and it's October or November or even December, increase your outreach. Be strategic with your outreach. Much like we just said about like, don't just roll into someone's DMs or inbox and say, yo, can I pick your brain real quick? No. Like if you're expecting just to send a quick little message to a brand and capture their attention, you probably should find a different career. But if you're trying to build strategic relationships through client outreach, man, go the extra mile. Like figure out how to make them laugh. I was just talking to a guy the other day that's inside my program actually.
Mm-hmm.
He sends out personalized videos every month to new businesses that he finds online. And I'm like, bro, that's amazing. So I just want to, before we move on to Ed here, I want to say a lot of creatives, the focus group that they are essentially walking away from and saying, yeah, there's not much business right now. I just reached out to a lot of brands. Guess what? I'll ask people, hey, how many people have you reached out to? Sometimes people are like 5. My goodness. Like what if you did 20? What if you reached out to 20 new brands or 20 new clients a month? And before you even go out and try to find new clients, another way of just new business outreach that's almost like a reality check sometimes is look back at all the clients that you've worked with in the past that you forgot to follow up with. Do outreach with them, like rekindle those relationships before you recklessly go and hit the DMs. But how about you, Ed? I'm curious, like you and me, I feel like we both run our businesses very similar. I don't do as much outreach anymore just because of the nature of my business with retainers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I still am proactively doing outreach because I want to make sure that I know what's working and what doesn't. What have you experienced?
Similar to you and Paul's story, I don't do as much outreach now as I used to. And we'll go into that in the third point. There's a third point I want to tell on this podcast on why we don't do outreach as much, because there's a certain point where you reach where you just don't have to. We want everyone to get to that point. But I still do it sometimes. And when I was first starting out, I did it all the time. And this is what worked for me. When it comes to new business outreach, it's so important that you make sure it's a product market fit. Like what you're offering fits what their needs are. I can't tell you how many times I'll hear about people who say, I reached out to 100 brands, I reached out to 200 brands, and I still haven't got, a response yet. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. If you reach out to even 25 brands and you don't get a single intrigue on your inquiry, you don't have a good offer and you don't have a good pitch. Like, stop exhausting your list that you made by using a bad pitch. You need a better pitch. And how I view this is, it's like you need to have leverage, right? Like you need to have leverage. Another mindset that I would love for everyone to shift is when you're first starting out, there's always this kind of notion that they're waiting for a business to throw them a bone. Like they say in their email or in their thread, like, hey, I'm starting out in videography. I'm looking for clients to work for. Like, would love for the opportunity. I'm flexible on my prices, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. You already shot yourself in the foot by saying I'm starting out. Like they don't want to work with someone who's starting out. They want to work with someone who's an expert. They want to work with someone who knows what they're doing. So it's actually really important that you position yourself as that expert when you're doing outreach. And then on top of that, make sure that what you're offering is exactly what they need. And I'll give you an example. So for me, I like working with these more like modern product tech brands, right? So I'll do research. And so when I reach out to a business that I want to, land as a client, I will pull videos that I've done for previous clients that I know for a fact they are keeping their eyes on. I know for a fact that this is exactly up their alley. I won't even make my email lengthy. I'll just say, hey, noticed your brand, love your brand. I've done similar work for a similar brand. Here's a video link. I save them the time. I don't go in depth on like, I'm trying to get my business off the ground. I would love to work with you. Here's all the reasons why I want to work with you. It's like you go over that in the pre-production process. You don't have to do that just to get their kind of like head turned towards you. And so I guess my biggest thing is always product market fit, make it simple, and don't exhaust your list if you have a bad pitch. Those are some like bullet points.
Let's go. I'm going to add to that real quick from Paul's list. The best first step in doing strategic outreach for new business is start.
For real.
Second is A/B test things. If something's not working, do something different. And then the third thing I want to say is less copy, more video, more photo. So like figure out a way to reduce the amount of text in an email or in like outreach. And again, like Ed was saying, bring some visuals into the mix. It'll go a long way if you're able to plug something that speaks to like maybe their top selling product or something that you love, or if you have the product or if you've purchased the product. And then also make sure you're following them. Yo, if you're going to do outreach to a brand and you really want to win them over, you better be following them. And if you've never tried their product before, lie and say you have. Because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you stand out. And there's a lot of other people reaching out to them. So
show, don't tell, y'all.
The more you're able to refine your business outreach too, you're going to figure out what your success rate is. And that's where you're able to double down. So once you know it works, double down on it. And also do not get stuck up on one client where you're like, man, they told me they'd hit me back on a Thursday. It's already Monday. Yo, are you kidding me? If you have no client work and you're waiting for one client to email you back, you better be figuring out a way to stand out in someone's inbox. But hey, that brings me to something that I feel like a lot of us struggle with as freelancers. Because it's easy to look at what other people are doing and be like, man, there's no way I can like look like them. So let's talk about brand image, because I feel like as freelance entrepreneurs, photographers, videographers, filmmakers, everything that we do is so visual. So Ed, you've been able to land some fatty clients, man, some big budget clients. And I remember even a year ago on one of the episodes, I'm like, Ed, you're like the aesthetic god, man. Like when it comes to like your grid, you got it dialed in. But I want to get serious for a moment, because there's people out there complaining about not getting client work, especially going into these busy months, but they're not taking their brand image serious. So tell me like what advice you would have, and then also what has contributed to even working with some of these like bigger brands that you've been able to work with.
So for me, kind of what we were saying in the last point, like I don't do as much outreach. I know Paul doesn't as much anymore because he's built out a stacked portfolio of work now. And that's definitely one part of it. And the other part to that is when you have a brand image and you portray yourself online a certain way, you just start to attract higher ticket clients. My biggest gigs that I've gotten, or like where the invoices are the fattest, it's never really been the ones that I've personally outreached to. They're always the ones that find me. They're always the ones that find me first. And what that creates is now you have leverage. Like they want you. You don't need them. And I think when you get to that point of you don't need any clients, they need you. And you don't start that way. No one starts that way. But when you get to that point, that's when you can really start pushing the needle on seeing some of the biggest invoices that you've ever sent out. And that's definitely what I experienced as well. And so with brand imaging, like brand image for yourself, think about your target consumer for the brand you're trying to work with, and then be that person. So I was just saying a couple minutes ago, like I love working with these more modern lifestyle kind of tech brands, brand focus, e-com. So when they come to my account, they can see like, oh, Ed's like about that lifestyle. He looks like someone who would actually use our product.
Yeah.
And he does filmmaking. So this is a good fit, right? And when brands can kind of make that assumption about you from your content, that is when you have that product market fit. That is when you can have the 5-figure months, because now you're going to get brands coming up to you in your email inbox all the time, asking to work with you because they can envision their brand in your portfolio. They can envision their brand in your work. It's no different than how Paul does health and wellness and fitness. It's like if I was a health and wellness and fitness brand looking to promote something and I go to Paul's page or his website, I'm like, shoot, I can envision our drink, I can envision our product in this website amongst all of other Paul's work. And that is so key. And that's what I mean when we talk about brand image and how you are perceived. And a lot of creatives, like, they actually don't do this like online. Because they're so focused on, with good reason, like nowadays, a lot of freelance creatives are focused on how do we make banger reels? How do we get more likes? How do we get engagement? And to be honest, like followers are great and all, but followers have nothing to do with how you're perceived online. There are people who have 1,000 followers on Instagram who have absolutely banger grids that get tons of work. And then I've seen people who have 100, 200,000 followers on Instagram that are just flooded with all these reels that contribute nothing towards their brand image and they get no work. So literally, brand image is everything.
I love how you said the whole product market fit that, because it's like that's a reverse engineering activity that people need to connect there. It's like connect the dots. If you want to be landing work with like a specific niche of work, like brands or companies, do spec work to reflect that. And I think people will often ask me, hey, Paul, how much should I invest into a spec shoot? Well, what level of projects do you want to be a part of? If you want to be a part of like some high production projects and get, booked for that type of stuff based on your brand image, you better invest into your brand image.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to like encourage people, especially going into the later half of the year, is like, if you have any room to, if you're looking for write-offs or any of that stuff, like take some time, hunker down, outsource maybe some of the things that are going to amplify your brand image. Take your Squarespace site, turn it on because it's been under construction, maybe update it, make sure it looks cohesive, because it really does matter. I've landed work outside of my niche, and I just actually landed a pretty massive client deal, and it's happening this month in Miami. And I got it not because it's in the same niche or industry, but because the decision maker sees the level of quality and production and intention that I put into my brand. And they're like, we trust you. I'm like, do you need to see any examples? Do I need to do a test shoot? They're like, no. I'm like, that's awesome. So if you take your brand serious, people are going to take you serious.
Dang, that's fire.
But hey, I want to hear this. We're about to drop some golden nuggets right here. So Ed called me recently and said, dude, there's this car brand. They reached out to me. They said yes to the price I threw at them, and we're working together. And a part of it, I also get a car for a little bit. I want to ask you real quick, did that surprise you, or is that something that's kind of been a part of your strategy? You're like, because like back to the reverse engineering activity, I'm curious if it's something where you're like, wow, I'm blown away that they reached out to me, or are you like, no, I've purposely made sure that my website and Instagram reflects this type of work?
I would be lying if I said I wasn't shocked, right? I think like, it's like sexy to be like, oh yeah, like I planned this all, like this is exactly how I envisioned my life to go, and then now I'm getting these brand deals, like it's sick. To be honest, it wasn't like that. And so as Paul mentioned, like I managed to lock in a deal with a car brand, and they gave me a car to loan for like an extended period of time, and then I make some posts about it and do some content around it. And I think aside from it being whether it's a filmmaking gig or it's an influencer gig or whatever the thing may be, when I was on the briefing call with them, they specifically pointed out, hey, Ed, we don't really care like that you're not like a huge influencer or anything like that. What we care about is the quality and the aesthetic that you brought out in your content, and who we're trying to market this vehicle to. You fit that demographic.
Yeah.
And we think this would be a perfect collaboration. And so when they told that to me, I was like, yo, that's wild. That's wild to me that I am trying to portray myself a certain way online. And because of that reason, these companies like this, or a car company, is coming to me saying like, we want to work with you, And so for me, I definitely think it's just honing in on what we just talked about in the third point of brand image, like because I focused on my brand image, it led to a lot of opportunities that I never really thought were possible, because it creates this cohesiveness. It creates a narrative for yourself. You don't want to be all over the place. And I 100% think that focusing on the brand aesthetic or grid feed or whatever you want to call it, I think 100% focusing on that has contributed to the success of my business. So
that's awesome,
that's
man.
Definitely a huge one. That is a huge one.
And I got to give you props because your website just went live recently, edwardleefilms.com.
Yeah, go check it out, y'all.
If you want to see some of the work, edwardleefilms.com/work, you'll look at it and you'll be able to, it makes sense why a car company that's innovative would reach out to Ed. It's because guess what? He's been pushing content that speaks to that for years. He stayed in his lane. So I just want to let you know, brand image is important. It doesn't get talked about enough. I think we often see what's trending on social media and it's like, wow, you can make money doing product photos for a brand with, very little. Yes, but also I think if we're talking about 5-figure budgets, the reason why they're big budget is because you can also be firm on price because they're reaching out to you or your portfolio is speaking for itself. So they're not really going out and price shopping. And I feel like when you do cold outreach, you are put in a position where you got to be a little flexible on price depending on their budget. But if a brand's reaching out to you because they like your brand image, like Ed said, that's leverage.
Yeah.
Let's hop on to the next one, time blocking. Going into, again, kind of the busy holiday season ahead. If you're listening to this right now, we're recording in October. I'm stoked because guess what? Business is going to be booming for creatives these upcoming months, especially for freelancers that have their portfolio and Instagram and their marketing in order. But it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get lazy. I always make fun of people, my friends that work like true 9-to-5 jobs. December and January are a wash, my guy. Like it's a wash.
Know,
so
for real.
We talked about showing up as an entrepreneur, showing up as a freelancer where you don't necessarily have a boss, and how to make sure that you are chipping away, you're making incremental deposits in your business to like push the needle forward. So let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, I think for me, we don't have to go too like in depth on it because we could talk about it all day. All these points we could talk about all day. But for time blocking, just being really practical, for me, you need to create like a productivity system for yourself, whether that's through ClickUp, through Notion, through Google Calendar, however you want to do it. You need to be able to wake up and have a plan. This is like over the 6 years that I've been doing this freelance stuff, each like time in the early stages where I woke up and was like, oh, I have to work on my business today. That was my goal. I never got anything done. Like you literally have to have a running list of things that are on your day to day, whether that's projects that you have to edit, whether that's outreach you have to do. It could be as small as like making an Instagram caption for your post this week. Like make sure you have some sort of productivity system in place and then create the time blocks around that productivity system. For me, I don't know how it is for you, Paul, but like for me, like just visually seeing what I have going on Monday through Friday, like seeing it actually typed out, even though it is in my head, like it's not like I can't remember to do some of these simple tasks, but just visually seeing it really helps me stay on track. And I think one big thing a lot of freelancers struggle with is staying on track. And if you get, lazy or you get on your phone or you find yourself just like burning a lot of time, you're not going to be able to get to that 5-figure per month because you're just going to be filling up your time with a lot of stuff that isn't contributing to more income for yourself.
I want to give us some practical tips when it comes to time blocking because I have definitely struggled with this over the years. So if you take out your Google Calendar and you block off a day or even a little 2-hour time slot once a week on, let's say, a Monday or Tuesday to focus on social, that is going to make all the difference, and just have it repeat every week. I have admin days. Every Friday is an admin day. And then I also have days that are literally called nurture days where I just check in with my current clients and old business. So for me, it's social, nurture, and admin days that happen every week. And then at the end of the month, I make sure that I'm time blocking and making sure that I'm setting time aside to just get all my books in order with my business. So I use QuickBooks, and it just gives me the peace of mind before moving on to that next month. But just want to encourage you guys that getting things in order now are going to make 2024 that much better. If you're listening to this in 2024, guess what? It's not too late. Get your things in order. Time blocking is a way that you can just be more productive. So that's fun. Let's bring this one home and talk about, I want you to encourage the people, the MIDCONVO listeners, with our last point that you feel like has helped you achieve those 5-figure months as a freelancer.
One huge mindset shift. If there's anything you take away from this 5th point, and just this podcast in general, is you have to reframe your reality of what's possible. Or a lot of people, I think we've talked about it before on the podcast, I definitely have, where you shatter your glass ceiling. And just to go into that a little bit more, so like early stage of me freelancing, you start to see a general invoice number, right? You start to see, okay, I'm doing gigs, I'm busy. You see invoices of 500, 1,000, 1,500. You're like, oh shoot, 2,500, that's a pretty decent gig. And you start to see these numbers circulating, right? But so it doesn't really cross your mind of ever sending out an invoice that's $15,000. That's what I mean when I say like that is not in your reality yet, because you just don't send out $15,000 invoices. So what I'm saying is it's actually just a mindset that you not being able to make $15,000 in an invoice. Yeah, it could be a little bit of skill and experience and all that kind of stuff, but actually it first starts in your mind. It's a mindset shift. And I just want to tell a little mini story is when I first met Paul, actually, it was in New York when I really got to know him, and it was actually for one of his workshops. It was a pricing workshop, which was fire, by the way. So kudos to Paul, because that was a fire workshop. But I was helping him shoot it, but I was learning a lot from the workshop. And one thing that he was hitting on is showing, when I saw him show these price breakdowns of how he managed to land like a $50,000 project, it somehow changed something in my brain where I was like, I could do this. Like seeing the breakdown of 50,000, it's like I could budget that. I could figure out how to get to 50,000. And then it started to become more and more of a reality in my head. And this, of course, like by natural, like spending time with Paul, spending time with people who are succeeding and kind of like your closest 5 friends, for some reason, like I just started to attract a bit more of that confidence in pricing and negotiating and pitching. And now $10,000 became the new bar. Now $15,000 became the new bar of like a big invoice. And so that's exactly what I'm saying when I say it's a mindset shift. You have to go from being okay with making $2,000 like gigs, and then understanding to get to a point where $2,000 is like a walk in the park. You could do that with your eyes closed. You have to get to that point. So I know, Paul, like what has the transition been for you? Like going from the small numbers, because I'm sure it wasn't like out the gate you're charging these prices, right? So how do you go from these small invoices to these massive projects and these massive budgets?
Yeah, what's the difference between a $500 gig or even a $100 gig and a $10,000 gig and a $50,000 gig? I feel like as a combination of all the things we're talking about, it's your network and your circle. You got to surround yourself with people that are achieving more success than you or are achieving similar success, if not more, because then you're having conversations where you're continuing to push each other to break that glass ceiling. Outreach is a huge part of it. Brand image is a huge part of it. Making sure that you're spending time on different areas of your business that need more attention. Most people love the creative stuff. It's sexy, but they're not willing to spend time on the business task. So the mindset shift that I feel like I want to encourage people with is if you can start having a positive attitude about, even months ahead with, do you know what? In 3 months, I am going to hit $20,000 in gross revenue that month. Guess what? That is going to make such a difference then in your tone when you're having conversations with potential decision makers, or when you're having conversations with potential business, which are decision makers. And the more you can figure out how to solve their problems and also provide them with the most value, because sometimes they're not problems, sometimes it's just their needs, the more you're going to find they're willing to let you in on their business, which sometimes correlates to the bigger the budget can be. I've been able to see clients that come through the door saying, our budget's like $1,500. Turn into $13,000 because of the attention that I gave, and also to the way that I was able to lean on my brand image, my expertise, and also go into it with a positive mindset. So I know, depending on where you're at in your business, it can seem extremely daunting when you hear 5 figures, but I just want to let you know that it wasn't too long ago where I got hit by YouTube videos where it's like, you can make $10,000 a month. Check out my QuickBooks. And I'm like, 10 grand? That's insane. I'm hitting $5,000 and I'm like, I feel like I'm covering my mortgage or my rent at the time. Plus I'm eating at Applebee's every week. That's great. But like when Ed was saying reframing your reality, that's huge. Most people get stuck because something hinders their growth. If you can overcome that, and again, I know we're all in different seasons, but if you can overcome that by knowing that if you're a freelancer right now, make a simple Google search. Now is the best time to be a creative. There's big entrepreneurs out there like Mr. Wonderful that we all love on Shark Tank, saying that it used to be that computer engineers were one of the most sought after jobs out of college, making a bunch of money. But now as photographers, videographers that are freelance, you can make well over 6 figures by only working with a few clients on a consistent basis. So I just want to encourage you guys, especially going into the holiday season, brands need you just as much as you need them. Your network is important. You got to have strategic outreach. You need to invest into your brand image. If you ever want Ed to rant on that, don't roll into his DMs and ask to pick his brain. Figure out how to provide value to Ed, and he will show you behind the curtain a little bit more, a little peekaboo. And then time block, and also just be enjoyable to be around too. I'm not the best photographer, videographer in the health and wellness space. Ed, I'm not trying to throw shade at you either. You're talented, but you're not the best videographer or filmmaker.
Wow, I'm out, bro. This is done. I'm getting out of the podcast.
You got to be enjoyable to be around too, because then people see you as an extension of their business. They let you in more. They're willing to discuss bigger budgets with you without sticker shock. But I don't know. I feel like this. I hope this encouraged some of you guys.
Yeah, me too. And honestly too, as Paul just mentioned, we don't say these things to make you feel overwhelmed or to brag about what me and Paul do. It's seriously not. The whole reason why we do this is because me and Paul have failed. We have failed a lot. And we've gotten to a point where I feel like we can share some insight on, okay, if out of the 20 things we learned, what are the 5 most important things we learned that contributed to this? And that's what we're doing in this podcast episode. There's other things we could talk about that definitely helped us. But if we really want to, that's why you guys come to this podcast, is you want the meat of it. You want the golden nuggets. You want the middle of the conversation where it gets awesome. And this is the middle. This is the 5 things we think have had a huge part in us succeeding as creatives and what will help us to continue to succeed in this industry, because we want everyone else to succeed as well. So hopefully you found it valuable. If there's anything that you feel like we could have covered more on or you want to know more about, definitely leave it in the comment section of this YouTube video or of the Spotify. Or if you haven't, or you just found straight value in this and this was just absolutely fire for you, give us a review. We would super appreciate it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Thanks for tapping into the MIDCONVO. That's a wrap.
All right, going to get Applebee's now. Peace.